Good morning and welcome to the Bodhi Day service and our second live service of the year. I'm very excited as this is my first live service of the year. It's so nice to see everybody. Thank you for coming. We'll now have offering of flowers and light. Thank you, Cynthia and Roy. Please rise for meditation and continue standing for Vandana Tisarana, found on page 165 of the Praises of the Buddha Gatha, the Brown Book. Thank you. Please be seated. We will now do the recitation of loving kindness metta found on the sheet with your with your Gatha book. May all beings be happy and well. May
no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May I be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to me. May I live in peace and harmony. May my family be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May my teachers be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May my friends be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May strangers be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May my enemies be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May all beings be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. Namo Amida Butsu. Naman Butsu.
We will now have a Bodhi Day aspiration by Reverend Bert.
Let's put our hands together. We are gathered here this morning to commemorate the Day of Enlightenment of Siddhartha Gautama, which took place on the morning of December the 8th, over 2,600 years ago in what is known now as Bodh Gaya in India. Along with the rising of the morning star, he became the Buddha, the fully awakened one. As we observe this very auspicious occasion, may we learn from the content of his enlightenment and begin to live each day fully, humbly, and gratefully. Namo Amida Butsu.
Please turn to page 46 of your red Jodo Shinshu service book for the Sutra Sambutsuge.
Naman Butsu, Naman Butsu, Naman Butsu. Dream. samai chi naman now.
Please rise for the Gatha, the Bodhi Day, on page 20 of the Brown Gatha book.
From sorrow
Thank you. Please be seated. This morning's Dharma message is by our guest speaker, Reverend Quinn Hashimoto. Reverend Bert will introduce Reverend Hashimoto.
Good morning, everyone. So this morning we are very fortunate and happy to have as our guest speaker Reverend Quinn Hashimoto. He is the Vice Director of the Shingon Mission of Hawaii. He is also a graduate of the Kalani High School, class of 2004. I guess he must be a proud graduate of 2004, right? Reverend Quinn started helping at the Shingon Temple 21 years ago. How old are you now? 25. And since then, she has collected a degree in psychology from the University of Hawaii at West Oahu and a master's degree in marriage and family counseling from Chaminade University. Reverend Hashimoto is an instructor with the University of Hawaii's early education program, teaching psychology, and lectures in the Department of Education, high schools throughout Oahu. He also lectures at the University of Hawaii at West Oahu and is an adjunct professor at Chaminade University, instructing in the field of psychology, specializing in lifespan studies and bereavement counseling. Reverend Hashimoto received his ordination in 2009, his formal receiving of vows in 2015, as well as accepting the transmission of the Green Tara meditation from the Dalai Lama in 2016. Reverend Hashimoto has assisted in leading pilgrims on the 88 temples of Shikoku. How many of you have done that? I heard nowadays you can do it by taxi, is that right? As well as the Rokuyo 33 Kannong Trail. As a matter of interest, Reverend Hashimoto also received a certification from the Honolulu Community College electrical program and does many of the repairs at the Shingon Mission of Hawaii. Anytime you want to become a Jodo Shinshu, let me know. Yes. Please welcome Reverend Hashimoto.
Thank you very much, Reverend Bert. Thank you, Mr. Tusher. And thank you to the congregation of the Windward Buddhist Temple for having me today on this Bodhi Day. I won't take too long because as I was talking with Reverend Bert, we know very well, us local ministers know very well that we have to keep the services very short because even if I'm up here for longer than half an hour, I'm going to start to doze off when I'm talking. So today, I wanted to talk about, because today's Bodhi Day, December 8th was Bodhi Day, and we're celebrating it today. And that is the day that the Buddha attained enlightenment. My graduate school professor wrote a book integrating Eastern philosophies with therapy, psychological therapy. And in his book, he talks about how the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, he compares it to the journey in therapy for a client. So am I too close? Too far? Okay. And I want to talk about that and compare those together. So, if at least once every year, we talk about the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path and go through them very briefly. So the first noble truth, the Buddha says that life is suffering. So just as is, it might be difficult to translate what that could mean. It could mean a number of things. In the psychological therapy, when we say like life is suffering, we're identifying that this is a reality. Suffering is a reality. So in therapy, we're identifying that there is a problem. So recognizing the nature of our existence, that we suffer because of our attachments, and that we think everything in life is permanent, substantial, and independent of each other. But in therapy, once we recognize that there's a problem, whether it be anxiety or depression, etc., whatever kind of mental problem there is, that's when we can start to make a diagnosis of something. So this is arguably the most important step in not only psychotherapy, but in reality. Recognizing that there is some kind of problem, recognizing that it is a part of our life, that things are going to go bad. There will be good things, but we also have to accept that there are negative things. So, for example, if Joe grows up in an abusive family environment, then that abusive environment becomes something that is familiar. Joe becomes attached to this abusive environment and all those people connected to it. So doesn't recognize what a normal or an average person would recognize as normal would be something that is completely alien to Joe. Wouldn't understand that. And wouldn't understand that there's a problem with his situation. So, unless Joe recognizes that there is a problem, we can't make a change. The second noble truth, the cause of our suffering comes from two things. One, the ignorance to the nature of our existence, that all things are in fact impermanent, insubstantial, and interdependent. We're ignorant to the fact that everything in this world can and will change. Yet we demand that everything remains the same, right? How many times has any of us said, whether consciously or unconsciously, but the last time I was here, it was like, or last year, things were like, right? Our suffering comes from our dissatisfaction with what now is, and our attachment to what was in the past. Right? How many of us during this pandemic said, things will soon go back to normal, back to the way things were before? Right? But do we realize in our minds that things cannot go back to the way it was in 2019, the way it was in 2018? And we crave those good times that we did not appreciate 2 years plus ago. So that leads us into the second thing, cravings. Human beings have three kinds of cravings, at least. Craving for everlasting life, or the assurances that we will live on forever in some form or another. Craving for pleasurable experiences, such as entertainment or food or other things of intimate connection with others. And the craving for non-existence, as paradoxical as this might seem. But let me give you an example. How many of us here, after either a long day of maybe doing hard work, do you want to just drop in front of the TV and not think about anything? Right? We want to phase out from reality for a moment, so that craving for non-existence. Many mental problems develop from one or more of these cravings, if not all of them. Whether we suffer from the loss of a loved one, develop anxiety just being around people in general. I'm sure that must be a familiar feeling these last couple years. Or we get angry at people for seemingly no reason. Even things like getting cut off in traffic, right? The third noble truth, that there is an ending to our suffering, right? Suffering that is rooted in our displeasures in life, our dissatisfactions with what is going on right now. This is the attainment of enlightenment. In psychotherapy, we would describe this as the goal of treatment, right? Being free from our depression or anxiety or whatever mental problem we came in for. But in order to accomplish this, a treatment plan must be developed and followed. A step-by-step plan is easiest to follow, right? This brings us to our fourth noble truth, that by following the eightfold path, we can be released from our suffering. So, the correct, or sorry, I wrote it correct, but we know it as right seeing, right thinking, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. So these actually can be kind of grouped up into kinds of psychological therapies. If we look at right seeing and right thinking, we're looking at a cognitive psychological approach. Right seeing, recognizing that there is a problem, right? And one example that I see, for one of my courses, I had to attend several Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. And the first thing that they do in an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting when they're going to stand up to speak, they say, "My name is so-and-so, I'm an alcoholic," right? Acknowledging that there is a problem there, right, is the first step. Correct thinking. Thinking about the ending of your suffering. So what is, at the end of therapy, what is your life going to look like? Conceptualizing that. This would be a type of cognitive therapy or a thinking. So seeing that goal. Because if you cannot recognize or you don't create some kind of visualization of what you're aiming for, then you don't understand what it is you're trying to get to, right? The next one, right speech, removal of negative speech. This would be like a behavioral therapy. Whenever we think, first thing we're going to do when we do something is we're going to think about what it is. Someone cuts us off in traffic, we're going to think about that. And we're going to think like, oh, okay, this guy's a such and such, right? Once that process goes on in our brains, and then it comes out of our mouth in a behavior, we are then reinforcing that thought in our mind. We're getting closer and closer to solidifying that action in our mind. So even if there is a thought process, if we change the speech, then it prevents that negative thought from solidifying itself, right? But we can't stop there. We must then have the right action, right? Not engaging in harmful or destructive behavior. So now, not just talking in a positive manner, we have to further solidify that positive action by doing something, right, in our mind. When we speak and we act, then that can go a long way into changing the thought process, right? This is another kind of behavioral therapy. And then livelihood. So now we have to spread out from our individual actions to like, who are we hanging out with? Where do we live? What kind of groups do we interact with? In talking with many of the people at Alcoholics Anonymous and my work in clients with substance abuse, one of the major things that they do is they cut themselves off from their friends who were also alcoholics, substance abusers, because that association would inevitably try to pull them back into that kind of frame of mind, right? So, also working, interacting with people in Alcoholics Anonymous, your forming a group with people who are also trying to get off of alcohol, right? So this is reinforcing the behavior of getting off of alcohol. So that whole livelihood, this would be a socio-emotional, so that social component in our lives, changing that as well. And then correct effort, the disciplined application and commitment to the other paths. So it's not just enough that we make these small changes, we must put effort into it. We must continue through, and it will be difficult, but by continuing to put in that effort, changes can be made. And then, right mindfulness. We hear about mindfulness more and more and more. Nowadays, it's becoming a very crucial part of psychotherapy. Being flexibly conscious and non-judgmental in the present moment. Being present to what it is that I'm thinking, what it is that I'm feeling right now. And consciously, if it's something negative, consciously telling myself, okay, well, I'm not going to do that, right? Realizing in this moment that everything is impermanent, everything is unsubstantial, and everything is interdependent. If I go and have a negative action with the person next to me, it doesn't end there. That person and myself, we're part of a community, right? And then correct concentration. So this is the most difficult to conceptualize, but where mindfulness is a general like being present in this moment to anything that comes to us. Now, right concentration is actively focusing attention onto maybe a single path in any one moment, so that we can block out any other intruding thoughts, right? Bringing our focus onto this thing that I want to be positive. Maybe my focus is I'm going to not swear or make a rude gesture to someone who cuts me off in traffic today. Making that single effort because it's so difficult for me to be thinking about all these different things that I have to be changing about myself, right? In therapy, we would call this like baby steps, right? Someone comes into therapy, they're coming in from a life that is chaos, right? And you think, and if you bombard them with, oh, you have to do these things, you have to watch your speech, you gotta watch your actions, you gotta change the people you're hanging out with. All these things all at once in the first session, they walk out and they're like, I don't want to do any of these things, right? That's too much. So focusing on one thing at a time. Oftentimes when I work with clients who are grieving, that's the one thing we always talk about, right? One thing at a time. There's so many things bombarding us. Concentrating on a single thing that would improve ourselves, and then work from there. The Noble Eightfold Path can be seen as the therapist's treatment plan to end one's suffering by attending to the different aspects of the psychology in the individual that are the source of their suffering. I want to end my talk with what the Buddha identified as the process that causes our suffering, or the dissatisfaction in our lives. And that is what he calls the conditioned arising. I'm going to just read this little conversation that the Buddha had with Ananda, good old Ananda. There's so many stories, his conversations with the Buddha, right? And the Buddha said to Ananda, when there is this, then there is that. When this arises, then that arises. When this is not, that is not. When this is extinguished, then that is extinguished. Thus, conditioned by ignorance, there are the predispositions. Conditioned by predispositions, there is consciousness. Conditioned by consciousness, there is name and form. Conditioned by name and form, there are the six senses. Conditioned by the six senses, there is contact. Conditioned by contact, there are sensations. Conditioned by sensations, there are feelings. Conditioned by feelings, there are cravings. Conditioned by cravings, there is grasping and possessing. Conditioned by grasping, there is becoming. Conditioned by becoming, there is old age, death, anxiety, depression, dissatisfaction, anger, and worry. Thus is the cause of all of this dissatisfaction. We often say that Buddhism isn't so much a religion as it is a way of life. Unlike other religions, Buddhism isn't so much faith-based, but rather experiential. Our experiences in our lives, our interactions between family, friends, strangers, even enemies, and how we learn to react to them are the main focus. Our expectations are oftentimes the source of our own suffering. But by changing our expectations, we change how we experience life. Free ourselves from our mental disorders and achieve the most excellent state of enlightenment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Reverend Hashimoto. It was a very interesting message. Please rise for the Gatha Flowers at Amida's altar on page 47 of the Brown Gatha book. And then it'll be followed by the Nembutsu, so remain standing for that.
this power guides my life. I gasho to Amida. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
Well, it was so wonderful to be here together with everybody. And as we all listened to the Dharma message, chanted the sutra, and sang gathas. Now on to announcements. If you haven't had a chance to offer incense, you can do that also after the service. I understand we have more takuang for sale. So don't laugh, they're good. Anyway, you can inquire the kitchen area. More announcements, Prudence?
Good morning. Well, today we're also having our annual general membership meeting right after the service. And I do want to introduce a couple of guests that we have today. There's Dana's friend, Colleen, and she's seated back there. And there's Gail, and she's seated right in front here. Gail's been attending our adult Dharma class via Zoom. So it's nice to see her in person, you know, rather than just on Zoom. So the guests may remain here after the meeting, but we do have refreshments. So if you want to go ahead and have refreshments, that's fine. I just need a quorum. So the rest of you who are members, if you'd remain, I'd appreciate that. It's been nice to see people. It's been nice that the sun is out and all this rain, but it was nice to have rain as well. So thank you, Reverend Hashimoto. That was very interesting, you know, to compare that. So, and thank you, Lisa, for playing the piano. And thank you for the Miyamotos for offering flowers and light. And thank you, Reverend, for conducting our service. So, you can have a bathroom break. And if you come back here in about 3 minutes, if you can do it in 2, nah, you can come back within the next 5 minutes. We have a very short meeting, so, but we do need to have one every year. So anyway, I'll see you back here, those of you that are members. And I guess you can eat in here too, so, okay.
I want to remind everybody that December 31st, between 4 and 6 o'clock, the temple will be open, so you can ring the kancho, and we'll do it 3 times each, okay? One for the Buddha, Dharma, and one for the Sangha, so it's 3 times. Then on New Year's Day, between 9 and 11, I'll be here. The temple will be open. You can come here, offer incense, sit for a while, and I also have some sake, okay? So please come. Invite your friends. Not too many, because I only have 1 bottle.
Okay, we'll see you back here in a few minutes. Thank you.